My sisters and brothers, over the last 5 years, I have been working to make Guyana a safer place. I have virtually put an end to piracy in Guyanese waters. Fisher folk from East Berbice quarantine now feel safe because we have a Coast Guard patrolling, we have an Air Corps patrolling the skies. They rush away to Suriname and cause their mischief. And I got a good man from the quarantine, Dr. Rishi Thakur, who investigated the murder of Guyanese fishermen. And the results will make Guyanese safer than ever before. That is my objective, to make Guyana safe. I want Guyanese to be richer. That is why my Minister of Finance has increased public servants' wages. Every teacher, every nurse, every soldier, every policeman. People who were getting $30,000 have now gone up to $70,000. Pensioners are getting better pensions. I want to reduce the cost of living. And that is why we've reduced VAT. We came in, when we were in the 10th Parliament, we asked the PPP, reduce VAT. We reduced VAT from 16% to 14%. We want you to pay less for your goods. I am the man who reintroduced local government elections. The PPP for 20 years could not hold local government elections. But I am a Democrat, and I believe in the Constitution. The Constitution says you must have local government elections, and I did what the Constitution says. I held local government elections twice. I got into government in May 2015, and by March 2016, I had local government elections. Twice in 4 years. That's what I do. That is what a leader does. Make sure that democracy prevails. At the start of this year, on the 1st of January, I announced the decade of development. It's important you know what the decade of development from 2020 to 2029 stands for. You know, many of you know about the decade of decadence, a decade of death. Under President Jagdeo, from 2000 to 2010, when there were 1,431 murders, a decade of death, I introduced a decade of development. During Jagdeo's regime, there was piracy almost every month. Fishermen were being killed. Under the previous PPP, don't forget 1995, because this is an anniversary year. In August 1995, the biggest environmental disaster struck Guyana's rivers with the Omai oil spill. Where was the champion of the earth? Where was the champion of the environment? When the people of the Essequibo River were suffering from polluted water. I grew up at Bartica. When I get married, I take my wife up to Bartica for honeymoon. And they poisoned Bartica River, the Essequibo River. PPP did that. Cherry Jagan did that. But Jagdeo wanted to outdo Cherry Jagan. So in 2005, he had the biggest flood in this country's history. 2005, how could we forget that? He flooded out Georgetown. He flooded out Demerara. The first time I see cricketer snail and patois in my living room. The champion of the earth did that to me and to the residents of Georgetown. I tell you, don't laugh, 34 persons died during that great flood on the bar, Jagdeo. 34 persons died. 70,000 households were flooded out. How this man, so I nearly use a bad word, but how could this man face the Guyanese people when he flooded out 70,000 households? How could he face the wives of the 34 people who died during that great flood? The thing is, he knew what had to be done with the East Demerara Water Conservancy. But he wanted to spend the money on other things. He spent the money on other things, and he had to loose out the water and flood out Demerara. That is what Jagdeo did to us, the champion of the earth. The UNDP alone said that that flood cost Guyana 60% of its GDP. Never had an investigation. Never had a commission of inquiry. His Minister of Agriculture sit down next to him in the cabinet. The man gets assassinated. Never a commission of inquiry. Never an inquest. He say he know everything, but he don't know that Sashtar family coming to see me, asking me who killed Sashtar. Jagdeo know everything, man. I said, go ask Jagdeo. I will help you to investigate the crime. But Jagdeo say, you know, that flood was not an act of God. That flood was an act of the devil. You know, the man like to pretend he's champion of the economy. And I see he has a little student there teaching him about economic affairs. Let me tell you something. He became president in 1999. In 2000, for the first time in several years, Guyana registered negative growth of minus 1.4% under the champion of the economy. Negative growth. That is how he started his decade of decadence, with a minus 1.4% decline in the GDP. And in 2003, again, minus 6% growth. In 2005, minus 1.9% growth. He's not a champion of the economy. He's a champion of bluff. That is what he is. He had one good years, but the economy declined. Whereas on the APNU+AFC, there has never been a single year in which the economy did not progress. Every year, there has been positive growth. 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019. We will continue to grow this economy from 2020 onwards. He called himself the champion of industry. You remember when you're young, you used to pass the diamond estate in the sugar industry? When you go up the East Coast, you remember Lusignan, LBI, Ogle, and more? You ever ask yourself what happened to them? Is the PPP shut down the East Demerara estates? Sent 5,000 sugar workers home. That's what the PPP did to the sugar industry. The champion of industry did that. He got money to help to restructure the industry. He go and buy the Skeldon sugar estate. We have to get another loan to restructure the Skeldon sugar factory. The guy can't work. Nobody could make it work. The Chinese can't make it work. The Australians can't make it work. The Indians can't make it work. The South Africans can't make it work. Jagdeo cannot make it work. He left us with a large, you know what I was going to say? A large problem. You know, this proxy president, when he left office, there is something called the Council of Hemispheric Affairs. They said he is a fifth-rate president. You quote me. Not a second-rate president, a third-rate president, a fourth-rate, a fifth-rate president. And the Council for Hemispheric Affairs said, Amnesty International kept pleading with him, repeating over and over again, to ensure that his government preserved the right to life, because so many people were being killed during the Troubles. That is what people thought about the president from 2000 to 2010. My brothers and sisters, let not your hearts be troubled. APNU+AFC has come into office. And after Monday the 2nd of March, we will remain in office.
Forward never, backwards never.
We will implement a decade of development in this country for you and your children. On the 20th of December, I declared National Petroleum Day. Remember the 20th of December, because the profits from our petroleum industry will provide you and you and you and you with a good life. The bulk of the money will go into the sovereign wealth fund, not into people's pockets. We'll make sure that the profits from our petroleum industry, and I'm not going to put the petroleum industry in the hands of the man who destroyed the sugar industry. Believe you me, and you must help me on Monday. Say, broke up sugar, you're not going to broke up oil. My sisters and brothers, I am the man with the plan. First of all, I have a plan for youth empowerment. Young people have to take over this country, and we have to prepare them to lead this country. Apart from air fund, we have to prepare our people to lead this country. That is why you've heard speakers, the girl from Blethem, Miss Joseph, speak about the SLED, the Sustained Livelihood Entrepreneurial and Development Program. We have empowered 2,488 young women and men with grants and loans to start businesses. And I've said over and over again, when SLED was launched, a young lady who was a student at that primary school at Onderneming. You know the primary school at Onderneming? You know the secondary school at Camp Street? You know the university at Mazaruni? All right. Well, she was at the New Opportunity Corps. And she said, look, to the audience, I came out of New Opportunity Corps, but because of SLED, I am now an independent businesswoman. That is what this government is doing for young women. You heard from Ms. Joseph. Ms. Joseph told you about the Hinterland Employment Youth Service, HEYS. That program has benefited over 3,700 young people, mostly from the hinterland, to start up businesses. But most of all, you've heard about the Guyana Youth Corps. You know, that GYC was launched on the 1st of January, 1968, because the coalition government of the day had just taken over from the PPP, and youth unemployment was widespread. So the Guyana Youth Corps was established to provide employment and training for young people. Later on, the National Service was established because the Guyana Youth Corps couldn't cope with the large number of unemployed young people. And on 2000, the year 2000, the president of Guyana, the champion of youth, shut down the Guyana National Service. That's what Jagyo did. Shut it down. Now, I became president, and I re-established the Guyana Youth Corps. It is now in Kurukuru on the Linden-Suzdijk Highway. Every year during the decade of development, the Guyana Youth Corps is going to graduate 1,000 young people who will find jobs on their own, who will be self-employed. I said this should be a smoke-free thing. They don't understand that. So, my friends, my sisters and brothers, the Guyana Youth Corps. Come on, let's get it off. Get it off, get it away. It's disturbing me. Please take it away, it's disturbing me. You know, don't smoke. So it created a little bit of nuisance. So we're looking at young people because young people have to be trained in order to take control of this great country. And rather than shutting down organizations like the Guyana National Service, we need to build up the Youth Corps. We need to build technical institutes in every single region in this country. And that is what APNU+AFC is doing. My second plan, my sisters and brothers, my second plan is a human development operational plan. And in this HDOP, we are going to ensure that every Guyanese child receives the benefit of universal primary, universal secondary education. And those who are qualified will gain access to the University of Guyana. Under this human development program, we are going to ensure that there is a roof over the head of every Guyanese mother and child. We are on a program to abolish slums, shantytowns, and squatter settlements. Our children must grow up in dignity. No more plastic city, no more canvas city, no more cardboard city. My brothers and sisters, there are 178 squatting settlements in this country. We must put an end to squatting. We must put an end to slums and shanties so that our children can grow up in dignity. We have already started to do so under the Central Housing and Planning Authority. And we are going from region to region to ensure that our citizens, particularly women and children, are given cheap and affordable housing. We will set up in 14 days' time, because tomorrow is the 1st, and I promise you, on the 15th of March, we will set up a National Squatter Settlement Commission to ensure that squatting comes to an end. It is an abomination for any modern state to have 178 squatting settlements. But you all vote right in 2015. Make sure you vote right again next Monday. Because we care. We care for you. We care for sugar workers. 3 years ago in 2017, we started a program called the State Lands Resettlement Commission. It has started to work. Workers from Wales are now going onto the lands which were previously used for sugar. And a survey is being done of all the lands which have been taken out of sugar production. It will be used for several purposes, but one of those purposes will be to make sure that sugar workers who are still without employment will be given access to land. We care for sugar workers. And I have another plan, plan number 3. You know, people call me a seafar man. But when I got into office in 2015, on the 10th of July, when I was swearing in the regional chairman, I announced the plan of action for regional development. And you've started to see how that plan of action is unfolding. You've seen Bartica, a village, become a tongue, and Mabaruma, and Lethem, and Madia become tongues. And I wish you could visit those tongues. Ganga Prasad used to go around moving the NDCs and installing IMCs. I have removed the NDCs and installed tongues. I installed municipalities. Each one of those now has a mayor and town council. And you should see the development that is taking place in those 4 tongues, hinterland tongues. It's a blessing. So the plan of action for regional development, which started since 2015, my sisters and brothers, I am not announcing these things because elections will be held on Monday. These are things which I am doing already. The police divisions have now been realigned to the admin regions. So Region 1 now has Police Division 1. Region 2 now has Police Division 2. The courts are being realigned. The Regional Broadcasting Service is being realigned. Every region will have its own broadcasting service for the first time in the history of Guyana. Let's hear some applause. We care for every region. Now, plan number 4. Somebody stop me because I can talk all night. Plan number 4. The Regional Action Plan for Public Security, RAPS. You know, in international relations, people say you could choose your friends, but you can't choose your neighbors. And we have a neighbor on the west which has some challenges. I hope that they overcome their challenges quick. But in the meantime, a lot of their citizens are coming across the border, particularly in the Barino, Winey region. But I have a plan for them because they have some bad elements involved among them called sindicatos. People murder and steal. So we have a regional action plan for public security which protects our hinterland residents from criminal violence coming across the border. The regional action plan is working. We now have mounted police in the Rupununi again. We now have mounted police in Blackbush Polder again, protecting quarantine families, protecting Rupununi families. We want to make sure Guyana is safe for every person, every region. And that RAPS is working. So, don't worry about Jagdeo coming back, this decade of death, decade of development, of decadence. Because when you go around this country, you'll see monuments to Jagdeo's regime. Go to Bartica. You'll see a big black monument commemorating the Bartica massacre. Go to Ivleri. You'll see a monument commemorating the deaths of 21 policemen who died during the decade of death under Bar Jagdeo. You go to Buxton, you'll see a monument. Go to Lusignan, you'll see a monument. Bar Jagdeo has left monuments to an era of death and destruction in this country. That is why we need a regional action plan to make sure that every village is safe, every community is safe, every family is safe. And that is why we must not let the PPP back into government.
Forward ever, backwards never.
Because it was during the Troubles, when we had a minister using letterhead government paper, government stationery to order a computer to go and hunt boys every night. We're trying to get to the bottom of the crime, but they kill out all the witnesses. That's what happened. We must not let the persons who are responsible for those troubles get back into office. And plan number 5. Again, since 2015, I went to the National Tush House Conference and I announced a plan of action for hinterland development. This is not new stuff. This has been on the table for 4.5 years. And I want to see the hinterland develop because the hinterland is the greatest part of Guyana and it has the greatest riches in Guyana. And we have a plan to remove and reduce inequality. We will build a bridge over the Essequibo River. We will improve the road from Linden to Lethem so that people can drive from Kokwani to Lethem right across this country. Region 8, one of our richest regions, doesn't have a single highway. We are going to develop the infrastructure in the hinterland. We are going to improve education. And Ms. Joseph from Lethem told you how we are doing that already, how grades are improving because of internet connection and because of the reforms in the education system. We are improving employment through the HEYS scheme. So, my sisters and brothers, development is assured on the APNU+AFC. But you heard Mr. Ferdinand, Professor Ferdinand. Listen to him carefully. He was saying that politics got mathematics. Politics is not about magic. He said 23 can't go. 23 into 5 can't go. But let me tell you something. Unless we get our mathematics right on Monday, we will end up with a bad government again. But let me tell you something about what's going to happen on Monday. The APNU+AFC is together, and we're better together, we're stronger together. And my and we're longer together. We're longer together. The PPP, without the manifesto, is wedded to the old-style confrontational politics. Winner takes all. We have opened the Big Benab. People of every race, of every region, of every religion are welcome in our Big Benab. We will sit around the table and discuss the challenges and problems facing every race, every religion, every social group in Guyana. We are not going to insist that you take out a party card. we are going to listen to your complaints and resolve those complaints wherever you are. But the PPP is running scared. That is why they have not put out a manifesto. Because intelligent voters like you will realize and recognize is the cogging. You know, in school they had cogging. Well, PPP don't want to be accused of cogging, so they don't put out any manifesto at all. But there are problems inside the PPP, and the discontent is hard to hide because many PPP members are not supporting the way that Barry Jagdeo is running that party. Because since the departure of the Jagans, the PPP has been in a downward spiral. Let the statistics speak for themselves. I don't make it up. In 1997, the last elections, no matter how Goku counted, let us assume that she got 220,000 votes. And then she handed it over to the champion of elections. In 2001, he took the lady's 220,000 votes and converted it into 210,000 votes. He dropped 10,000 votes. In 2006, he went into his second elections. He converted 210,000 votes into 182,000 votes. He dropped another 18,000, another 28,000 votes. In 2011, the last election, thank God, that the Constitution allowed him to run. He went up to 164,000 votes. Can you imagine Janet Jagan gave him 220,000 votes? And by 2011, the PPP was winning 164,000 votes. That is statistical fact. That is not election propaganda. The truth is, under Jagdeo, PPP votes will be going down, have been going down, until the APNU+AFC came together and drew abreast and started to win general and regional elections like we're going to do on Monday again. Have no fear. Have no fear. The rate the PPP has been going, they will not win on Monday. But we have to turn out in our numbers. The PPP has failed to provide leadership to this nation. They have sought to divide our communities rather than unite our country. Everywhere you go, you see a PPP chairman. He is giving the central government worries. You go to region 1, you go to region 2, you go to region 3, you go to region 5, you go to region 6. They are refusing to implement development programs because they are saying it will make the APNU+AFC look good. We good anyway. The PPP cannot build partnerships. They cannot reach out to civil society. Everything is winner takes all. Everything is control. But in our Big Benab, in our coalition, we have embraced religious groups, civil rights groups, unions, Let everyone come in the Benab so we can work for the common good and make Guyana a great place, the best place to live in the Caribbean Commonwealth. The PPP did nothing to alleviate poverty. And we have a plan, a program to put money in people's pockets so that families can have cash to spend. The PPP belongs to the past in the garbage bag. They belong to an age of confrontation, and APNU+AFC has initiated an era of cooperation and collaboration. The PPP is battling the central government. They're battling green and yellow villages. But worst of all, they're battling themselves. There's a big fight taking place inside the PPP. And you'll see the leaders on parade on the 2nd of March. Because you can't go into the general election without a manifesto and without a leader. You can't go in with a proxy president. My brothers and sisters, we took a long time to bring APNU+AFC into existence. We worked hard on 2 Koningsberg Accords. We hammered out our differences. But today we are united and strong. We have the Alliance for Change, the Guyana Action Party, the Justice for All Party, National Front Alliance, Working People's Alliance, and People's National Congress. 6 of us are working together. We cover the entire country. We consult to find out what the people's needs are. We care for the poor, we care for the homeless, we care for the needy. I've launched a decade of development. 2020 is the year when the decade has started. March is the month. The 2nd is the day. But now is the hour when you must decide whether it's going to be David or Irfan. Now is the hour when you must decide if you want a real president or a real estate agent. Must we win on Monday? Can we win on Monday? Will we win on Monday? Oh, God bless you. We will win on Monday. We are going to lead this country.
Ladies and gentlemen,